Hello, and welcome to People Keep Dying, a podcast about people who died. I almost forgot my tagline. I'm your host, Angela.
And I'm Stephanie.
And today, I apparently had talked about this. I was listening to some of our old podcasts, and I had talked about this specific death previously and said I would eventually cover it.
Oh my gosh, we are doing tiebacks today in this episode.
Yeah,
I also have a tieback murder.
Episode.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
remember if I ever said her name, but this actually worked out because there's currently a big scandal going on in Korea that you wouldn't have heard of unless you're actually care about like the K-pop world or anything.
Okay.
But it ties in with it, and that's why I wanted to cover it.
Yeah.
And by the time this episode comes
not...
out, there's going to be a ton more information than I'm giving you now. So I am sorry, but not really.
Well, maybe when we get back or whatever, we can have a follow-up episode on all of this information.
I'll come back from Korea and maybe I'll learn more about
on-the-ground news.
Yes.
Because we're sending our correspondent, Angela, here to do some real Korean murder.
So this is a tax write-off.
Hey, you know what?
Business expense.
It's a business expense. I had to go to Korea to
murder just so I can also do that as a business expense.
Hey, you know what?
Sure.
We talk about it. It works.
Someday we'll be able to do it.
How could the government dispute it?
That's true.
You do a podcast. You went to a place where murders happen. You looked up a murder while there. Bam. Business. You came back. You talked about it on the podcast. It's the business.
And also,
expense.
every time I eat, I'll just talk about the murder the whole time.
Exactly.
Also, business expense.
Get a good accountant. They'll make it work for you.
Exactly. Get a really shady. So, Jang Ja Yeon was born January 25th, 1980 in Seongnam, South Korea.
Okay.
And I'm just going to jump right ahead to 1999. She lost both of her parents due to a tragic traffic accident.
Okay, so she was 19.
Yes.
She was 19. Oh, man.
And she ended up
just when you're like walking out into the world all by yourself.
Koreans don't walk out into the world all by themselves. Not until you get married.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I was, you're 18, you're becoming an adult, and then your parents died. So
she ended up living with her older sister and younger brother. And in 2006, Chaeyeon debuted in the entertainment industry and started to appear in commercials, which is where most actors
not
and
the
actresses.
Adult entertainment industry.
No, like in Korea, that's very embarrassing.
Really?
Oh yeah, you don't want that's. It's very conservative there. Very conservative.
That would shock me. Only just
Japan is more known
I know
to be
because
open.
the Japanese. Because I was gonna say the geishas, and I know that there's a big Korean Japanese thing.
Yeah.
I just I find it so weird when people like look down on the sex trade because
Korea's very socially conservative.
Yeah.
Very socially conservative. As like I think the previous story I'd done where
Well, I had known that, but I still didn't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
So she got her big break as one of the antagonists in a K-drama called Boys Over Flowers, and she played Sunny. And the Boys Over Flowers is currently on Netflix, and it's one of the biggest K-dramas ever.
Interesting.
It's basically the equivalent of like the Friends, where everyone has watched it.
So it's like so it's a TV show?
It's a TV show. It's a mini drama. All Korean TV shows are drama, like miniseries.
Oh, I thought they were
and it's 16
like
episodes
movies.
to 20 episodes.
Oh,
and that's it. So they're all like basically like BBC miniserie types.
Interesting.
And Boys Over Flowers was basically about this girl who ends up going to this really fancy high school, and then there's these 4 guys who are beautiful and run to school and all come from rich families, and then they abuse her, but then like the main guy fought. It's really stupid.
Okay, so
but anyways, like this is a very very popular storyline because it was originally a Japanese manga series that got transitioned into a Taiwanese TV show, then a Japanese TV show, then a Korean TV show, and then again to a Taiwanese TV show. Okay. So it's like the one that everyone talks about.
And she had one of the main roles?
And she had one of the roles as the antagonist of the main character. Like she was like, she was a pretty girl who was like, oh, you're so ugly, or oh, what are you doing here? That was her role.
Yeah, okay.
But it was shortly after she started her career in the entertainment industry that she received medical treatment for clinical depression. Because you know what turns out? The entertainment industry is really shitty in Korea.
And I believe it, especially because I feel like over there people get really invested in their entertainment.
Well, it ties in with something that's currently, as in like right now, going on, which I'm going to cover. But
I sort of feel like because she was probably playing the antagonist, that a lot of people.
That wasn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
not
what my thought would have been.
Because there was a girl who played like a really good antagonist in 2 pretty popular TV shows, and then she was able to get lead roles immediately after. It's all about
It's kind of like, you know how like everyone hates Joffrey, or everyone hates that kid, the actor. I don't even know what his fucking name is, because of his portrayal of the character Joffrey on Game of Thrones. To me. And then he like quit acting because like no one could like see him differently.
Or that kid who played Anakin. Yeah, that's unfair. You know, he was like 8. Like how?
First of all, it's just fan culture is just the fucking worst, and they always ruin everything. Like, just because you're a fan of something doesn't mean you get to rag on the actor that's playing that character.
No.
Like, it's...
But it wasn't due to that, because like I said, Korean TV shows are
okay.
only about 16 episodes, and they air immediately for like 3 months, and then it's over. So usually you work onto a different role so people can forgive you for whatever you did as a character.
Sorry.
But
I thought this was like a long...
On March 7th, 2009, at 3:30 p.m., Chaeyeon complained to her sister about overwhelming stress and that she wanted to die.
Yeah.
Later, when her sister was unable to reach her, she rushed to their shared home at 7:42, and that's when she found Chaeyeon's body hanging from the stairway banister.
What is with you and these Korean women killing themselves? These Korean actresses killing themselves.
There's a very high rate of suicide.
And I can sort of understand why, because there's like such an immense amount of pressure.
But this specifically uncovering because of a tie-in right now that's happening that I'm going to get to. So police found her dead to be a suicide with no foul play, and estimated her time of death at 4:30, which was an hour after she had complained to her sister about the stress.
Oh, that's sad.
Chaeyeon left behind notes and letters that revealed the overwhelming stress that she was describing to her sister. And Chaeyeon had been beaten and forced to have sex with a string of VIPs by her agent, Kim Sung-hoon.
Oh, okay.
And that's...
Yeah.
So the 31
makes sense.
The 31 VIPs named in her note included directors, media executives, and CEOs.
Oh shit!
I found a list of them on Wikipedia, but I couldn't find it on any other news site. Yeah. So I didn't want to say just in case it wasn't completely accurate. But
slander.
I found out that Korea has the fucking craziest defamation slander laws in the world. Like, even if you did something wrong, if you say something like, unless you're guilty, you're found guilty, you can't talk. You can't say their name.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You just can't.
That's crazy.
So she had...
Okay, yeah.
She was also forced to serve and consume drinks and act as an escort at golf matches overseas. So they would fly her out to basically be like their little girl.
Poor girl. Like, women... I am so sorry to women that are in these positions now that feel like they have to do,
and they do
these kinds of
because
things.
These people can ruin your career, and if you can't do this, they can make sure you never get a job anywhere else.
Yeah, and now it's not even like just in that town or whatever, because like before, people used to, this isn't even like some new age thing. It's like consistently over time people would ruin you. But it's like it's so fucking shady. I hate people that have that much power to do something like that. I hate putting young girls into position where they would...
Well, police raided Sung-hoon, which is her agent's office, where they discovered a shower and a bed in a secret room on the 3rd floor.
You fucking disgusting.
Don't worry, this will get so much worse before the end of the story.
Oh my gosh. I hope they all go down. Do they all go down?
No.
No, Angela, they're supposed to get caught in Korea. That's the...
So, Yoon Ji-oh, a former colleague and friend of Chaeyeon, would spend the next 10 years giving testimony to police and prosecutors.
10 years?
10 years. So
money.
In July 2018, last year, Ji-oh told a local news network about what Yeon endured by one of the VIPs. She said, after Chaeyeon danced on a table at the agency's head birthday, she was forced by politician Cho to sit on his lap. It was forceful. I remember Chaeyeon tried to stand up multiple times, but was forced to sit down again and again. Meanwhile, he touched where he shouldn't. Chio said that she spoke to the police and the prosecution about the incident 13 times, but her testimony was never accepted. I thought it was strange. They seemed to believe Cho. I was just over 20, unable to judge the situation well, but even for me, it was strange. After an investigation, I learned that Cho's wife was the prosecutor.
Yeah, that is people in power with money buying results of their fucking convictions, or like shutting it up, and
that was last year when she said
that's
this.
Fucking crazy.
It's this story kind of opened up because this story was basically this is what I just said, but because of what's going on right now, that's why I decided to cover it, because there's a little bit more now. So Sung-hoon, which is her agent, was arrested in June 2009 in Tokyo for overstaying his visa. And he stated that he committed a crime in South Korea and overstayed it in Japan to avoid being arrested.
Wow.
He knew he did something wrong.
Yeah.
But everyone's kind of curious of what. So 20 of the 31 figures were investigated by police, resulting in 7 prosecutions.
Wow.
And 31
only 7?
people. And even then, they're not really
Yeah, but I mean, like, they have to get
something. They're really big players too.
Yeah.
So
at least they got 7. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been nice to get all 31, but they have to prove. They have to prove something, and like, what are they trying to prove?
So Sung-hoon was sentenced to 1 year in jail because he was one of the people.
Yeah.
And 2 years of probation and 160 hours of community service.
Okay.
But it wasn't until March, which is last month of this year, that shit really started to come out. And that's why I'm doing the story.
Okay.
So from February 23rd, 2018 to February 17th, 2019, there's a very popular and exclusive nightclub called The Burning Sun in Gangnam, Seoul, Korea. Okay. And it was in an upscale hotel that used to be a Ritz-Carlton. So it was a really nice hotel, and it was a really nice club. They were advertised as the most elegant and finest club in South Korea, and was closely affiliated with a very popular K-pop idol, Seungri of Big Bang. And Big Bang is like, you know, you've heard of BTS, right?
Yeah.
They're BTS of like 4 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe more than that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they're incredibly popular. So it's like if Justin Timberlake was in someone's, like, it's a big fucking deal. Okay. So
Justin Timberlake's doing some shady shit on it.
It'd be like a fucking holy crap. But even more so than that, I guess, like if right before Jonas Brothers broke up and they were kind of seen as like the more innocent, it's like if they were found out doing some shady shit.
Justin Bieber. If Justin
Bieber was caught. Yeah. But nowadays, not so much. Maybe like 5 years ago, Justin Bieber, when he was a little bit cleaner.
Because he's decided to take a break from music because things have been really hard for him lately.
Yeah. But I mean,
either way.
I can't imagine getting harassed by media as much as anyone gets, like he does. Holy crap. It's a big investigation, and it's the largest to hit the K-pop industry ever. It's the biggest investigation ever. Wow. And let's see, the scope of it's too large for me to cover, so I'm just going to do a very basic thing about it. Okay. So the Burning Sun was under investigation after an NBC News desk reported an alleged assault on a guy named Kim Sang-kyo that happened November 2018 by a staff member at the club. Okay. He said, "Hello, my name is Kim Sang-kyo, a 28-year-old citizen of North South Korea. On November 24th, 2018, Saturday, I went to a club called Burning Sun in Gangnam and reserved a table to celebrate the birthday of a friend who helped me with the interior design of my advertising project, whatever." So we were on our way out after drinking 3 glasses of champagne when a woman jumped out from a table on our right and hid behind me while grabbing my left shoulder. At that moment, a man's arm reached out from the table and tried to pull the woman by her armpits and between her breasts. She held on to me as and try to resist, and as a reflex, I grabbed her the other man's arm and looked at the man who was the Burning Sun's manager, like the manager of the club. As soon as I looked, he threw a punch in my direction. I avoided the punch, held onto both of the man's arms, and asked the bodyguard for help. However, what returned in my ask for assistance was a collective beating by the bodyguard and the people from the table.
Wow.
The police arrived and witnessed Sang-gyo getting beaten up, but instead of arresting anyone else, they just arrested Sang-gyo. While cuffed and having difficulty breathing, Sang-gyo complaints would result in a cracked rib courtesy of a police officer who would also beat him up.
Probably because
it turns out that
they're all connected.
Yeah.
High. So in high places.
So when his mother came, she noticed the state of him and demanded he get medical attention, which they ignored.
Of course they did.
Sang-gyo would be tied to a chair and beaten by police officers, all while being filmed for 2 hours.
What? They filmed it too?
Because CCTVs are really big deal, especially in police offices. And they have
now they have to have video everywhere.
So he was finally transferred to another police station where they refused to believe his story, accused him of causing a scene because he was drunk.
Yeah.
And when the bodyguards were questioned and later released, Sang-gyo found out that the two bodyguards lied and said Sang-gyo had sexually assaulted a girl. And while they tried to stop him, he caused the scene.
And I bet you the girl was probably
she's probably gone. Yeah,
she was probably beaten into agreeing.
Writing we'll ruin you for sure. So after being detained for 8 hours and being released to a hospital, doctors found 4 fractures in his ribs, finger paralysis, extreme bruising, and bleeding.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The police were initially reluctant to release the CCTV footage.
Of course they would.
Why wouldn't they be? But eventually, after 200,000 people signed a petition, they relented and gave the CCTV. So this assault opened up the floodgate into a deep and depraved world of sexual services, drug trafficking, and police corruption that led this whole Metropolitan Police Agency to start an investigation. This was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So super fucking recent. The scandal quickly started to show the deep and ugly side of the entertainment industry, as well as the accusations of rape and sexual assault Ja Yeon had written about 10 years before.
Yeah. Because it's sort of oh, hey, maybe she wasn't fucking lying.
Yeah, for reals. So Chung Jun-young, a popular South Korean entertainer, admitted to filming his sexual encounters with 10 women, sharing the videos with friends in a group chat.
That's disgusting.
Which included Shingri from Big Bang. So, they're all gross. Texts such as, let's all get together online, hit the strip bar, and rape them in the car, as well as, our lives are like a movie. We've done so many things that could put us in jail. We just haven't killed anyone. Were found in the group chat.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And every day
here's
there's
the thing,
more
though,
and
it's not. No, you know what? I'm not even going to. They're disgusting. Yeah. But people fucking talk like that all of the time. Even if they're not doing it, I know people.
Sharing the videos.
Sharing the videos is disgusting. I really wish that we could grow up and not do that anymore. As a civilization.
I wish people would just stop.
Can we just stop
and treating people like trash?
Treating women all we're here for is just sex, and you know what? You're not only here for just sex either, gentlemen.
They're also here to beat each other up and kill.
Yeah, that's true.
So on March 18th, last month, President Moon Jae-in ordered Ja Yeon's case to be reopened.
Good.
And be thoroughly investigated, as her case was mishandled due to the nature of the high-profile figures involved.
Yeah.
He also opened up a case of another person who had also been, doing really disgusting sex things as well.
Yeah.
So on March 28th, Chio, the friend, discussed more about Cheon, mentioning 2 lines from the document prepared by Cheon. Sorry, I keep saying Cheon, but it's Cheon. Cheon would be that could be the key point of the case in her death, because Chio was gonna say that Cheon didn't kill herself.
Yeah.
She said that the 2 lines were never revealed to the media and included a threat. The late actress's actions at the time were not something that resulted from simply being drunk. Instead, it was a situation where she was forced to commit suicide acts against her own will because she had consumed a drink that had been spiked with drugs. Because apparently in there she had mentioned that there in like a letter she had talked about like how they had spiked her drinks with something else that wasn't alcohol.
So basically what they're saying now is that like
Ja Yeon didn't commit suicide.
Yeah, that they had that either that she was forced to do it on her own by threats, or that someone was there and possibly like was like
it was forced suicide.
It was forced suicide. I mean,
there is actually some things to back that up slightly.
I'm willing to say like, yeah, probably. And they probably got a lot of other girls to commit quote unquote suicide, but really they were just killing them too.
Well, she said the final note left by Ja Yeon was not a suicide note. And she also said that she didn't feel safe in Korea after she started to speak out about the dark nature of the K-pop and Korean entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So she moved to Canada for a little while. And then she said, what I noticed in Canada is that the victims or witnesses are well protected and respected in most cases, which is way more than obviously there. The act of revealing the identity of suspects and testimonials are taken very seriously by the justice system itself and the society in general. After realizing the differences between Korea and Canada, I had to do something. I decided to make my knowledge more public in Korea. So she moved back to Korea after determining that it was basically her purpose. And she wanted to see this through.
Good for her.
She also posted on Instagram a copy of her medical record, revealing like that she fears for her own life. And she said, the reason that I'm going this far is that out of the actors who worked for the CEO of the same agency as Jang Ja Yeon and me, there were 3 more in addition to her who were revealed to have died by suicide in the exact sort of way.
That's what I'm saying. Like they've probably killed more than one girl, and they're probably all having them look like they're committing suicide, but they're really not.
Those 3 were all discovered in their homes in the same way with no suicide note. 2 people who also had been working hard to ascertain the truth regarding the death by suicide. An investigator who had passed away after an accidental death in which he drowned at a fishing spot where the water didn't even come up to his chest.
Yeah, no.
And so because of that, I'm accompanied 24 hours a day by security guards so that I will not be defeated under the disguise of an accidental death. Since it could be disguised as a suicide, I've checked my mental state in this manner with those who specialize in psychiatry, secured record, have sent it to a legal counsel, and will send it to the Committee of Past Affairs.
Cover all of her bases because there's so many people higher up that are gonna fucking be like, no, she's this. Like,
she has like her medical, a picture of her thing. Like she's good. She has a good mental state because she's basically being like, I'm not going to commit suicide. And so if someone's going to.
If I somehow commit suicide, something fucking happened to me.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, I like on some creepy level, like in a movie, she would then commit the suicide to like
make it seem like
they all did it.
But I think like right now, because of the ongoing investigation with the burning sun and everything, I'm really glad that like something's happening about it. But originally it wasn't a cover story. It was basically about the fact that like, in the entertainment industry there, if you don't do the things that they ask you to do, you won't have a career.
Yeah, it's the same thing here.
Yeah, but it's the same thing here. But I think like
I don't think people are being killed in the same way.
No, I don't think it's the same thing in that way either. Yeah. And sometimes it seems like in Korea, because they're all controlled by like the same main guys. Yeah. It's sometimes but it's also the same here. Like it's really bad in the entertainment industry because you always take advantage of people.
It's also like you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there could be lots of young actresses, young girls that are, that are going through this, but we don't know who they are. No. Because
it could be all of them.
We haven't been able to expose the 31 men.
The thing is, like, if they admit to it, then they'll be the ones who get persecuted because they'll be like, well, why did you put yourself in that position? It's your fault. It's very victim blaming. It's very much so.
I wish there was like this whole thing that like once you died, like you either just like came forth and like admitted to everything, or like somehow everyone finds out all the shitty things that you've done. Because like it would help out so many families that like have probably lost loved ones and stuff to like shit people who have died.
Yeah.
And now they're never going to be able to get the answers to the questions. But like, listen, if you've done shitty things in your life, write it down on a little note, put it in a fucking security deposit box. When you die, eventually someone will find it.
That bank will.
Yeah, someone will eventually find it, and then they'll be able to get answered.
And
it's not going to matter to you. You're fucking dead. Like, that's how I look at it. That's what I'm going to do. But I haven't done anything bad.
The problem with those kinds of things is that, like, a lot of people their families get persecuted right after.
Yeah,
which is unfair.
It's super unfair.
Yes,
but at the same time, who the fuck? Like,
but back to my story.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, so Seungri, the big deal, like I guess like the big deal about this specific thing, is that the scandal that's going on is, you know, like there's that whole USC scandal. Mm-hmm. This is bigger than that. This is bigger than basically anything like that's happening. Too. This is a fucking big ass deal because of the fact that like. In Korea, when you join a boy group or a girl group, you take on an identity. Yeah. And that identity.
Yeah, you have the clauses and stuff like that when you sign those paperwork.
Was the innocent, nice boy. So for him to have been doing all of this in the background and then be like discovered as this really kind of perverted, shitty person has basically put a big light into like, what the fuck are we doing to these people in this industry? And like everyone's been talking about it, but it hasn't been the same scope as this.
No, that one's really bad. It's also coming at a time where you have like the R. Kelly documentary coming out where you had, you know, the story with those girls. And then also the Michael Jackson story with the young boys. And it's just like, it's really dangerous when you take children and you put them in a situation where they have to pretend to be something else.
Mm-hmm. At least like
unforced.
At least with Chaeyeon, she was older. So like, I mean, it's still unfortunate that it happened to her regardless. I'm just glad that she at least was able to enjoy a childhood of any sort before she was thrown into such a shitty world.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that she had to go through that it's unfortunate that anybody has to. I just wish that we could all just have a living wage, just be able to like live our own life.
People ruin. I think like people in general are pretty self-sabotaging. Yeah. So no matter what you're given, you'd still try to ruin your life.
Well, it's never enough. We live in a society now where nothing is enough because someone else has something better than you
and more than you,
and they're showcasing it, and so now we want it. Like, isn't it like FOMO, the fear of missing out, or something like that? Yeah. FOMO and JOMO.
Well, that's
the joy of missing out. I enjoyed that.
Suicide.
Another Korean actor suicide. My story is also a little bit of a throwback.
Tie-in.
It's a tie-in where I kind of did a story similar where you probably thought that it was this one, but it wasn't. So
yes.
Today we're going to be talking about Wayne Clifford Boden. No. Do you know who? It's the Vampire Rapist.
I'm really bad with names.
Yeah, so am I. So am I.
Just give me the name. I don't know.
It's the Vampire Rapist.
But as soon as I hear the story, I'm like, yep, I know the story.
All right. On July 20, as soon as I tell you what happened to this girl, you're going to be like, yep, I know instantly. All right. So on July 23rd, 1968 in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, for those of you that don't know, Norma Villancourt, a 21-year-old...
Sometimes
Canada, because sometimes Quebec tries to detach itself from Canada.
So sometimes Canada,
but they lost by 51 to 49, and it's just like
they were really close.
They were really close, but fuck you, you're still a part of us. Okay, back to my story. So, July 23rd, 1968, Montreal, Quebec. Norma Villancourt, a 21-year-old teacher, was found dead in her apartment. She had been raped, strangled, and she had bite marks all over her breasts.
Yes.
However, police found no evidence of a break-in or a struggle, and the pathologist even noted that the victim had died with a passive, faint smile on her face.
Oh, like she was enjoying it. Which, you know what? There are people who do.
Hey,
so there's no judgment.
Listen, it happens all the time where people die from erotic asphyxiation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's autoerotic asphyxiation. I don't know who that dude is, but
the guy from Kill Bill
that killed himself.
Yeah.
Anyways, people die all the time from it. So, but She probably didn't bite her own breasts. And yes.
But
anyways.
I mean, I think some people
Yeah.
like being bitten. So
Some people do. So, on October 3rd, 1969, the body of Shirley Audette was found dumped at the rear of an apartment complex in downtown Montreal. She was found fully clothed. However, she had been violently raped and strangled, and she also had bite marks all over her breasts. No signs of a struggle. And again, she kind of died with sort of a smile on her face. They only had one lead. One of Adette's former boyfriends had told police that Adette's former boyfriend had told police that he believed that she had gotten involved with a very dominant, attractive man, and that she had expressed to him that she was getting into something dangerous. But she never mentioned the man's name. But he knew, like, the ex-boyfriend knew that he was into some rough sex. Which, hey,
sex
everyone's
life
allowed.
is your business.
Yeah, everyone's allowed to be into
as
rough
long
sex.
as it's consensual.
These girls that were also probably like, yeah, I'm into rough sex, and they could have been. They didn't deserve to get murdered, or we're not kink shaming at all in any sort of way. That's not what we're doing here.
Just saying, don't kill someone purposefully.
Yeah, you don't need to fucking go on a rampage and kill anybody. So on November 23rd, 1969, 20-year-old Mariel Archambault left her office.
I want to say Archibald, but I think it's from Gossip Girl.
Yeah, it's not Archibald. It's Archambault.
Okay.
Because I'm French. Like, I have the French background, so I don't usually pronounce the L and the T. But either way, I'm sorry if I just pronounced your last name wrong.
We do it a
doesn't
lot.
matter. So she left her office with a young man named Bill, who she had introduced to her coworkers. And when she didn't show up for work the next morning, her employer went to go see if she was okay. And when he went to her apartment, he found her dead on her living room floor. She had been raped, strangled, her bra had been ripped off, and her breasts had been bitten. Her apartment had been rummaged through, and all they could find that was of any use was a crumpled up piece of paper with the name Bill written on it. Why was there just a little piece of paper with the name Bill? Like, why was there not a phone number?
Are there a lot more Bills nowadays, I wonder? Like,
well,
a lot of kids nowadays named Bill.
Yeah, so Bill's a pretty, it's a pretty
name.
common name. But on January 16th, 1970, Brian Caulfield headed over to his girlfriend's house to pick her out for her date. When he showed up, he knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So he was like, all right, maybe she's like just out for a little bit. So he left and ran to the store to get a drink or whatever. And he came back. When he came back, he found the door unlocked. And he was like, well, that's a little suspicious because he had just been there. So he went into the apartment, and when he went inside, he found the body of his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jean Way, naked on her sofa, strangled, and with bite marks all over her breasts. Autopsy's report indicated that that the killer was likely in the apartment when the boyfriend first showed up.
Yeah.
And that this time the victim had struggled. So then they actually got some DNA under her fingernails, and her apartment had been sort of rummaged through and stuff like that. So the media goes batshit crazy. They name him Vampire Bill, or they've named him the Vampire Racist. They start like writing all these stories, and they're feeding the frenzy, but like nothing's happening. There are no murders sort of
It's
occur.
just a super interesting string of deaths that have similar situations.
Because like some dude's going around and murdering girls every couple of months and like biting their breasts up and shit. Like that would freak anybody out. So the media is writing about it. And because they're like writing about him, our vampire rapist Bill here, he fucks off. He kind of goes away, and no more murders happened in Montreal. And the police are like, well, maybe he died. Maybe he got captured by a police officer. Like maybe he's already in jail. Yeah. Like, which is very typical to how a lot of people feel when like you have like a string of murders and then they just kind of go away. You kind of just hope that something bad has happened to the person,
like the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, like the Zodiac killer. However, unfortunately for us, little vampire Bill here couldn't stop being a piece of shit, and he didn't die. He had just moved to the other side of the country, and he had hoped that his infamy would die down, but it's just like, no, you fucking killed people. Like, you killed people and then you were biting up on their titties. Like,
yeah,
that's weird.
It's not just killing people, like stabbing them or something. It's like
that's gonna follow you.
You have kind of like a signature at this point.
People are gonna remember Vampire Bill.
Yeah.
But either way, on May 18th, 1971, in Calgary, because now he's in Calgary, the body of 33-year-old Elizabeth Porteous, who was also a teacher, was discovered in her apartment after being reported missing by her coworkers. Her apartment had been broken into. There was a sign of a pretty big struggle. She had been strangled and raped, and her breasts were bitten all over.
Did they make that connection immediately because of the breast? Okay, because I'm like, it's the
1970s.
Yeah,
it's in a different part of the world. However, like news was still sort of cycling.
Okay,
so they were kind of like, once they got a little bit more information, they were like, oh hey, no, this might be the same guy. So when the coworkers get interviewed by the police, some of the coworkers state that she had recently started seeing a man named Bill, and that he drove a blue Mercedes, and that she had seen him get into the car the night before, and that there had been a like they were describing the vehicle. And then I guess like next to the body, they had found like a broken like clip that men wear. I don't know what they're called. It was like a little pin that they wear on their jackets.
Cufflink?
Like, cufflink. So they had found that next to the body. So then they have the car, this blue car. So they're driving around town. The police are canvassing the area. I'm like, my brain was like creating the word, but then I was saying it all jumbled up. I apologize. So they're canvassing the area and they find this like blue car, and the police are like, hey, that's the car. It's got the hog sign in the back. It's like promoting beef. I don't know. And they sit and they wait. And then eventually a gentleman like walks over to the car, tries to get in, and the police like run over and they capture him. And they arrested him. And the man that they arrested is Wayne Clifford Boden. And when Wayne gets in custody, he's like really fucking calm. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, yeah, I like moved here from Montreal. Oh yeah, I used to know Elizabeth. We've gone on a couple dates or whatever. Yeah, I was with her the other night. But I mean, I dropped her off at her house and she was perfect. Like he was very like really calm about everything. But he was like, but I didn't kill her. And they're like, well, we have your cufflink that was next to her body. And he was like, well, maybe it was in her apartment. Maybe it like broke off when we were kissing a little, but I left, like, and she was alive when I left. So because it's like back in the 1970s, we didn't have like DNA testing or anything like that. And they really didn't have any other way to like prove that it was him. But this one orthodontist was all like, hey, you know what? We've recently discovered over in Europe or whatever that like you can match like dental records up to things. So we're going to take a cast. So they go back to Wayne, and they're just like, here, we want you to bite into this. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, man, like whatever. Because
he doesn't
know. This is like
totally new science.
Totally new science. They've never like done about it. He doesn't think he's gonna get fucking caught. So he does like the dental cast or whatever, and they were able to match it like almost identically to the bite marks on the breast everywhere, obviously. And except for like the first girl, they were only able to mark 29 of like the 60 points or whatever, but it's still a decent amount. And so, bam, they have their first case ever solved by orthodontics in the history of anything.
I'm surprised that the jury went along with it, because usually like a new science, they're like, nah.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. I didn't really get a lot of information in terms of like how long the court case went, because it was literally just they convicted him of like of guilty. 3, and he's guilty.
Did he go to jail forever?
Yes, he did. He received 3 life terms.
Okay.
Because so when they finally went to court, he admitted to 3 of the 4 murders. He denied any involvement with the murder of Norma Valancourt, who is the first Girl in Our Story. And then later in like 1994, a gentleman by the name of like Raymond Suave was arrested and convicted of her murder, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. But I couldn't find anything on him or that murder. And anytime I look up anything for this girl, it pulls it back to this guy.
Bill.
So
yeah.
I mean, they matched a majority of the teeth marks. The murder was identical to all the other ones. So I don't know what happened. Maybe Raymond killed her. Maybe Wayne did. Who the fuck knows? But she died, and it's. So
did he only date like the first two girls, and then because the last two who struggled, did they not know who he was?
Well, no, he was dating the last one.
But the third
I think
girl,
that he was drugging.
Dating.
I think what was happening was that he was drugging these girls. Or he was dating them, but it was under the guise of like just rough sex, and they were just women that were under rough sex. But these last ones, maybe he like
because like the third girl had a boyfriend, so that's why like not that.
He definitely broke. I think he broke in to that one,
and then and he didn't drug her.
Well, no, because there was a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, that seems really risky. So out of character for him.
I don't know. Maybe he was watching her for a while. Maybe she was cheating on him. Who knows? Because it was like all. It was just, dirty Bill.
Yeah.
With the rough sex.
Goddamn Vampire Bill.
Yeah. Vampire Bill. So he was sentenced to 3 life terms because they didn't charge him for the 4th one, obviously. And he was sent to Kingston Penitentiary, which is apparently where they send all the bad guys in Canada, because this is like my 3rd or 4th story where they ended at. Yeah, in Kingston. They send them Kingston Penitentiary.
Let's drive there and then we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll just like go. Let's go interview people at the penitentiary. That'd be really cool.
That'd be super.
Just be like, hey, why'd you kill all those people? That would be my dream job. Like literally, if I thought that they would actually be honest with me, I would just love to sit there and be like, well, why'd you do it? Yeah. Tell me how it felt. What was it like? What were you thinking about?
You could do that.
I know I could, because there's people out there that do. Yeah. It's just I don't want people.
You don't need a degree or anything.
I don't think people would look at me weird. But then it's just like, yeah, but I was like born to do this. It's what I was born for.
It's in my
it's in my DNA. It's in my genes. So 5 years into his sentence, while he's out on a day pass,
that's the fucking
because it's just like. How? This dude fucking raped and murdered 4 women violently.
Freedom.
And then they're just like, oh, hey, have a day pass. You're allowed to just go like wander out.
Yeah. And
do whatever.
Kill more people, whatever you want to do.
While he's out on this day pass, he tells the guards, he's like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then he fucking escapes.
Yeah.
And somehow while he was in jail, he managed to get a credit card from American Express.
Yes.
And they were able to then find him 36 hours later because he charged a restaurant meal to his credit card. And so they caught him while he was eating at a restaurant.
Oh my gosh. Usually you pay after though. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was. I also thought that was weird, or maybe they were just really quick, or maybe he was like staying at the hotel because it was a restaurant and a hotel. By the way, the credit card is what got him. And then 3 prison guards were disciplined. I hope they were fucking fired.
Yeah.
And we're all fucking lucky he didn't murder anybody.
Day passes are no longer a thing.
Yeah. Well, no, they still are a fucking thing, because I've had a few people that have like had a day pass.
The London chambermaid guy also got a day pass or something.
Stop giving day passes to murderers. They will get free and murder people. Like. That's what they do. Anyways, an American Express had to perform an internal investigation because
to figure out how I got a credit card.
How did a dude that was in jail get a credit card? Who knows? And then Wayne died in 2006 from skin cancer, and I hope it fucking hurt.
Probably did.
I hope he was in the hospital for like 6 weeks or some shit like that. So he probably got really good drugs. They probably put him up on morphine, and he was like living it up in his fantasy world for the last 6 weeks that he was alive, and then he died. And it was probably really nice and a lot better than the way that he treated those fucking women when he raped and killed them. So fuck Wayne, Clifford Boden, And thanks for listening to this story, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thank you for your story. And thanks, you guys, for listening. And usual stuff of email us if you have any stories at peoplekeepdying@gmail.com.
Yes.
Follow us on our social medias on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
We're funny on Instagram sometimes. We have a stellar Instagram theme going on.
Yes. And
which is all Angelo. By the way, just so that anybody knows, the social media is all done by Angela.
But Stephanie will.
I do sometimes come on, but I will write my like -s if I'm responding to people.
Yes.
Always assume that it's Angela unless you see the -s. At that point, it's me. I won't be held responsible for anything that doesn't have the -s.
Don't be dead next week, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Neither one of us will also die.
And don't kill anybody this week.
Try not to.
Goodbye.
Bye.